프랭클린, 루즈벨트, 명언, 영어로 배우기.
Franklin D. Roosevelt 1882–1945 U.S. President 1932–1945. Franklin D. Roosevelt's most significant achievement was his leadership as the 32nd President of the United States from 1933 to 1945. During a critical period encompassing the Great Depression and World War II. He implemented the New Deal, a series of policies and programs aimed at economic recovery and social reform, which helped lift the country out of the Great Depression. He also guided the United States through World War II, fostering alliances with other nations and overseeing the country's successful efforts in the conflict. His leadership left a lasting impact on the role of the federal government in addressing economic and social challenges, and solidified the United States as a major global power. Let's hear Franklin D. Roosevelt's famous quotes.
In politics, nothing happens by accident. If it happens, you can bet it was planned that way. When you reach the end of your rope, tie a knot in it and hang on.
This sentence reflects Franklin D. Roosevelt's famous saying, which encourages perseverance and resilience in the face of adversity. When someone reaches a point of extreme difficulty or feels like they can't go on, the saying advises them to hold on and find a way to keep going, even if it means making an extra effort or finding creative solutions to their problems. In essence, it conveys the message that one should never give up in challenging situations, but rather find a way to endure and overcome obstacles.
The only limit to our realization of tomorrow will be our doubts of today. The only thing we have to fear is fear itself. Happiness lies in the joy of achievement and the thrill of creative effort. Democracy cannot succeed unless those who express their choice are prepared to choose wisely. The real safeguard of democracy, therefore, is education. I ask you to judge me by the enemies I have made. The test of our progress is not whether we add more to the abundance of those who have much. It is whether we provide enough for those who have little. I'm not the smartest fellow in the world, but I can sure pick smart colleagues. Men are not prisoners of fate, but only prisoners of their own minds. We have always held to the hope, the belief, the conviction that there is a better life, a better world, beyond the horizon. Let us never forget that government is ourselves and not an alien power over us. The ultimate rulers of our democracy are not a president and senators and congressmen and government officials, but the voters of this country.
I think we consider too much the good luck of the early bird and not enough the bad luck of the early worm. Human kindness has never weakened the stamina or softened the fiber of a free people. A nation does not have to be cruel to be tough. It is common sense to take a method and try it. If it fails, admit it frankly and try another. But above all, try something. Be sincere. Be brief. Be seated. Take a method and try it. If it fails, admit it frankly, and try another. But by all means, try something. There are many ways of going forward, but only one way of standing still. To reach a port, we must sail. Sail. Not tie at anchor, sail. Not drift. Confidence thrives on honesty, on honor, on the sacredness of obligations, on faithful protection and on unselfish performance. Without them it cannot live. Rules are not necessarily sacred. Principles are: true individual freedom cannot exist without economic security and independence. People who are hungry and out of a job are the stuff of which dictatorship are made. If you treat people right, they will treat you right. 90% of the time. If civilization is to survive, we must cultivate the science of human relationships. The ability of all peoples, of all kinds, to live together in the same world at peace.
When you see a rattlesnake poised to strike, you do not wait until he has struck to crush him. Remember, you are just an extra in everyone else's play. Nobody will ever deprive the American people of the right to vote except the American people themselves, and the only way they could do this is by not voting. The United States Constitution has proved itself the most marvelously elastic compilation of rules of government ever written. This sentence is a reflection on Franklin D. Roosevelt's perspective regarding the United States Constitution. It suggests that Roosevelt believed the U.S. Constitution to be incredibly adaptable and flexible. In other words, he saw it as a document that could effectively accommodate and respond to the changing needs and challenges of the nation over time. This viewpoint highlights his appreciation for the Constitution's enduring relevance and ability to withstand the test of time by providing a framework for governing that can be adjusted and interpreted as circumstances evolve. Physical strength can never permanently withstand the impact of spiritual force. There is a mysterious cycle in human events. To some generations much is given. Of other generations much is expected. This generation of Americans has a rendezvous with destiny. This sentence is a reflection of Franklin D. Roosevelt's famous saying and reflects his belief that there is a cyclical pattern in human history. It suggests that in some generations, people are fortunate and receive many benefits and opportunities, while in others, they are expected to shoulder significant responsibilities and challenges. In the context of his famous saying, Roosevelt emphasizes that his generation of Americans has a unique and crucial role to play in their nation's history. He describes it as having a rendezvous with destiny, implying that his generation is called upon to face significant challenges and make important contributions to the country's future. A conservative is a man with two perfectly good legs who, however, has never learned how to walk forward. A nation that destroys its soils destroys itself. Forests are the lungs of our land, purifying the air and giving fresh strength to our people. There are as many opinions as there are experts. The truth is found when men are free to pursue it. We are trying to construct a more inclusive society. We are going to make a country in which no one is left out. The only sure bulwark of continuing liberty is a government strong enough to protect the interests of the people, and a people strong enough and well enough informed to maintain its sovereign control over the government. Competition has been shown to be useful up to a certain point and no further, but cooperation, which is the thing we must strive for today, begins where competition leaves off. The point in history at which we stand is full of promise and danger. The world will either move forward toward unity and widely shared prosperity, or it will move apart. The virtues are lost in self-interest as rivers are lost in the sea. There is nothing I love as much as a good fight. I pledge you. I pledge myself to a new deal for the American people.
I am a Christian and a Democrat. That's all. More than an end to war. We want an end to the beginning of all wars. Yes. An end to this brutal, inhuman and thoroughly impractical method of settling the differences between governments. It isn't sufficient just to want. You've got to ask yourself what you are going to do to get the things you want. It is fun to be in the same decade with you. The nation that destroys its soil destroys itself. One thing is sure. We have to do something. We have to do the best we know how at the moment. If it doesn't turn out right, we can modify it as we go along. Self-interest is the enemy of all true affection. Yesterday, December 7th, 1941. A date which will live in infamy. The United States of America was suddenly and deliberately attacked by naval and air forces of the Empire of Japan. We will gain the inevitable triumph. This generation of Americans has a rendezvous with destiny. Favor comes because for a brief moment in the great space of human change and progress, some general human purpose finds in him a satisfactory embodiment. The school is the last expenditure upon which America should be willing to economize. Whoever seeks to set one religion against another seeks to destroy all religion. It takes a long time to bring the past up to the present.
The overwhelming majority of Americans are possessed of two great qualities: a sense of humor and a sense of proportion. If I went to work in a factory, the first thing I'd do is join a union. A reactionary is a somnambulist walking backwards.
The sentence is a metaphorical way of explaining Franklin D. Roosevelt's famous saying, "A reactionary is a somnambulist walking backwards." In Roosevelt's saying, a reactionary refers to someone who opposes or resists change, often advocating for a return to traditional or older ways of doing things. The metaphor compares such individuals to somnambulists, or sleepwalkers who are walking backwards. In this context, walking backwards symbolizes going against progress or moving away from the direction of societal or political change. In other words, it suggests that reactionaries are like people who are asleep and unaware of the forward movement of society, instead moving in the opposite direction. This saying criticizes those who resist progress and change by implying that they are not fully conscious of the consequences of their actions.
It is the duty of the President to propose, and it is the privilege of the Congress to dispose. It is an unfortunate human failing that a full pocketbook often groans more loudly than an empty stomach. Don't forget what I discovered, that over 90% of all national deficits from 1921 to 1939 were caused by payments for past, present, and future wars. No government can help the destinies of people who insist in putting sectional and class consciousness ahead of general weal. Not only our future economic soundness but the very soundness of our democratic institutions depends on the determination of our government to give employment to idle men. War is a contagion. I believe that in every country the people themselves are more peaceably and liberally inclined than their governments. Art is not a treasure in the past or an importation from another land, but part of the present life of all living and creating peoples. But while they prate of economic laws, men and women are starving. We must lay hold of the fact that economic laws are not made by nature. They are made by human beings. In our seeking for economic and political progress, we all go up, or else we all go down. Prosperous farmers mean more employment, more prosperity for the workers and the businessmen of every industrial area in the whole country. In our personal ambitions we are individualists. But in our seeking for economic and political progress as a nation, we all go up or else all go down as one people.
Those newspapers of the nation which most loudly cried dictatorship against me would have been the first to justify the beginnings of dictatorship by somebody else. We continue to recognize the greater ability of some to earn more than others. But we do assert that the ambition of the individual to obtain for him a proper security is an ambition to be preferred to the appetite for great wealth and great power. Here is my principle. Taxes shall be levied according to ability to pay. That is the only American principle. Are you laboring under the impression that I read these memoranda of yours? I can't even lift them.
The sentence is a humorous way of saying that the speaker hasn't read the lengthy memoranda that were sent to them. And they are implying that the memos are so long and heavy that they are physically unable to lift them. Essentially, it suggests that the memos are overly detailed, burdensome, or tedious to go through, making it unlikely for the speaker to have read them.
If we can boondoggle ourselves out of this depression, that word is going to be enshrined in the hearts of the American people for years to come. No group and no government can properly prescribe precisely what should constitute the body of knowledge with which true education is concerned.
This sentence is conveying the idea that neither a specific group of people nor a government should dictate or define precisely what should be considered the essential knowledge that forms the basis of a genuine education. It emphasizes the importance of allowing educational content and curriculum to evolve and adapt to the changing needs of society and the diverse perspectives of individuals. In the context of Franklin D. Roosevelt's famous saying, it aligns with the notion that education should not be rigidly controlled or limited by narrow or inflexible standards, but should be open to a broad range of knowledge and ideas. Roosevelt's saying encourages a more flexible and inclusive approach to education.
Our national determination to keep free of foreign wars and foreign entanglements cannot prevent us from feeling deep concern when ideals and principles that we have cherished are challenged. I do not look upon these United States as a finished product. We are still in the making. We must lay hold of the fact that economic laws are not made by nature. They are made by human beings.
오늘도 행복한 하루 보내세요. 유튜브에서 파요영어 검색으로 다른 주제 동영상도 살펴주세요. 감사합니다.